but the headline should tell you all. New York Times. The economy is booming, but far from normal, posing a challenge for Biden. High inflation, ghostly downtowns, and a resurgent virus have rattled consumers and created new obstacles as the president tries to push his broader economy. If you look kind of at the beginning of this story, the American economy is growing at its fastest clip in a quarter century, and they link, I guess, the data is showing it's growing at the fastest clip in a quarter century, yet it remains far from normal, with some workers and small business owners facing increasingly tough times while others thrives. Steve, I don't know about you, but I think part of the reason we have the corrupt status quo that we do is because we have a media that kind of creates this alternative economy that is thriving and is booming based on numbers that, Alan Greenspan or, I don't know, what's his face, that devilish person for Reagan, who was the father of trickle down. I forget his name. Basically, they create this propaganda about what is the measurement for an economy booming and what is the mechanism for an economy sinking, when in reality, I don't know, I go out in the country, I haven't spoken with every American, it's not booming. I don't know what they're citing as far as the fastest clip of a quarter of a century, but can you kind of straighten it out? What numbers do show a boom, and what is the reality in terms of whether the economy? Art Laffer, thank you very much. Whether the economy is booming.
Just remember, GDP is an indiscriminate number, and GDP measures all activity, period, right? And so it doesn't measure whether or not it's happening at the bottom, doesn't matter whether it's happening in Wall Street, doesn't matter if it's happening in the school system, in the health care industry, doesn't matter where it's happening. It's a sum of all income, the nation's income. And so because so much stimulus money, so much deficit spending has occurred, you naturally see a huge boom. It is in many ways, it's a good sign that money is making into the economy. The problem is, as usual, that we don't look at how that disbursement goes. We only look in aggregates. We don't look at the demographics of where it's being spent. And so the reason why you don't see any real meaningful change in Main Street is because that's not where the money's being spent at. In fact, Main Street is starving while the money is going in top, and it's still once again trickle down economics. Every bit of it is. And so one of the other things, if you're into watching convergences happen, you watch as people want to get back into the world. They want to get back out there to go, eating and going to the movies, going to concerts, while simultaneously they're at home, not wanting to get, unmasked or whatever, and they're not working. And so you've got a convergence where people want to get out and do things, where people aren't working, and they're trying to figure out why there's all these problems. So you see inflation. Well, what does inflation usually represent? No, it does not mean they printed money. Anyone says that, seriously, stop. It means that there's not enough of the real goods and services out there. And it's driving the price up because there's so much demand for it, and there's not enough way to actually achieve it. So in the article that you're referencing, it also talks about how there's these ghost towns Monday through Friday where they expected people back to the office. Well, just today, Governor Wolf finally instituted making schools mandate masks on the children. I mean, we're talking about we're going back down into this thing because the spiking of the COVID virus is back up. And all the fools that want to sit there and talk about it being a hoax and stuff, get out of here with that crap too. This is very serious stuff. And so part of what you're watching, again, we got the trickle down mindset. The other thing that we're watching is this fake idea that we can go back out and live our lives while simultaneously the supply chain and the workers are not back to actually meet the demand. So what does that do? That jacks the price up. So this is the perfect storm. And now what's going to make it even worse is that while the wealthy are doing really freaking good right now, and they are kicking ass, man, they are doing fantabulous. The people that are about to lose their unemployment are about to be even worse. And mind you, the moratorium on evictions was overturned by the Supreme Court. And do not dare blame the Supreme Court for that. That is a problem of your Congress not writing laws to affect the people once again. So every one of the laws that was passed, all these good news stories that we felt we're all done at the top, and everyone at the bottom is left once again to suffer as this weight comes crashing down on all of our heads. So this is a real important time to start watching and understanding how the economy really works, divorcing ourselves from the myths and tales from the fire pit, and starting to really, really pay attention, because this is your opportunity, friends. Really start fighting for this stuff. The next thing that's going to come close is the mortgage moratorium, which will end at the end of October. So now you're talking about evictions for renters. Then you're talking about mortgages. You're talking about ending unemployment, and that's all to get you guys back to the workforce. There's nothing good in this story, Jordan. I wish I could give you one good news story here. It is not a good news story. In fact, they've made enough people happy, fat, and whole that it's going to leave us desperate, because there's nobody going to take this on. Bernie's 3.5 expansion, the reconciliation bill for infrastructure, there's a lot of blue collar work in there that could help bring people into, back out and working. Same with even the shitty 1 trillion bill, even though it's got a lot of really bad public-private partnership privatization, that has the potential to put a few people back to work as well. But ultimately, there's not a whole lot good here going on, man. Not a whole lot good at all.
Because you mentioned the Supreme Court. I agree with you. I mean, I didn't expect the Supreme Court to uphold the eviction moratorium. But in their argument, when they struck it down, it was so, it just speaks for itself. Here's what the Supreme Court said when they struck down the eviction moratorium. Could the CDC, for example, mandate free grocery delivery to the homes of the sick or vulnerable, require manufacturers to provide free computers to enable people to work from home, order telecommunication companies to provide free high-speed internet service to facilitate remote work? So forget the legalese of whether they could or not. I always call the CIA capitalism's invisible army. It wasn't my idea. I stole that from somebody. But is the Supreme Court not just capitalism's protective judge? This in itself. Oh, can we do good things? Can we mandate good things for the sick or vulnerable, or, help educate people by law? I don't know what you think about that, but I thought that was striking in their argument.
Just remember this, on the off chance that the Supreme Court decided to be, legislating from the bench or whatever, and they do it all the time anyway, right? But on the off chance that they actually were the primary one responsible for this, there's so many ways that they could do this, but ultimately all the laws are written with the idea of protecting capital to begin with. So their job is to interpret the law and to to legislate, or to judge the law, to weigh it out. Legislative branch is the one supposed to write the damn law, and the legislative branch always writes laws protecting capital, protecting private property, protecting anything but we the people. And for those people who somehow or another in the back of their mind think that private property is we the people, I don't know about you, but even the wealthiest of my friends don't have, quote unquote, the kind of private property I'm talking about that is protected by these laws. We're literally being sold out, and there's literally no protection for us at all. Zero. This is probably about as bad as I've seen it. And I've been trying really hard to find the good news and everything lately, just because it's so depressing to be focused nonstop on the negative. But this is literally where the rubber meets the road. I heard you talking, before I jumped on, about the unions and stuff like that. And that's a great thing 10 years too late. It's great that it's happening, but things are happening right here, right now. And we don't have organizing power to address it. We really don't. And
Right.
There's just not enough focus on it to really impact it the way it needs to be impacted. We got probably, right here, right now, with the evictions and the what do you call it? The
Unemployment.
Thank you. And the unemployment, that in and of itself creates a major, major problem. Now, with it looking like things are going to start locking down a little bit more, even, you're looking at those businesses that were thinking about reopening. not having any business once again, probably laying people off once again. It doesn't take a whole lot to see how this unfolds.